What's up, motherfuckers? Like in the 5+3 time control, Artemiev won the first game. So now Bastian Lagaraf in the second game. He needs the victory only to force the Armageddon. If with a draw or with a victory, Bratislav Artemiev is going to advance to the next round. So let's analyze the game. Okay, Maxime with the white pieces, he opened with e4. Artemiev responds like, with e5, like I told everybody responds with e5 in the tiebreaks. Especially in classical games, the same, but in rapid more. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6. And Maxim, who was playing bishop B5, now he changed for the Italian, bishop C4, knight F6, D3. And now Artemiev decides to develop the bishop to E7. Okay, first playing H6, but after C3, now bishop E7. Okay, he doesn't play bishop E3 first, maybe he is waiting that white decide if he's going to develop the knight to c3 or the bishop. For the reason he first played h6, and now if black develop the knight to c3, now we can develop the bishop to c5 maybe. So he just waiting for, let's see which piece or pawn Maxime put on c3, and later h6 is a useful move, of course, and later Maxime decide which piece is going to place on c3. Now he finally selects where to develop the bishop. So bishop e7, sword castle, a4. Now a5, you could move, avoiding black to take more space in the queen side. But white typical plan against the bishop e7 setups or bishop d7 setup used to be to play a4, a5 card. With with his move bishop e7. So okay, a4, a little bit, no fine. A5 by Artemiev, rook e1. Okay, you see me well. Okay, let's see. Rook e1, d6, and knight d2, typical move. Okay, queen b3 here was a possibility, but okay, knight d2 in Italian, of course, is completely logical. So knight d2, now knight h7. Here, bishop e6 was another possibility, but Artemiev plays knight h7 with the idea of playing knight g5 at the next move and try to trade some pieces, especially the bad bishop on e7. Because, okay, the bishop on e7 is bad place. Everybody knows that the bishop on e7 is close. So the idea of knight a7 is not only trade the knight, so trade the bishops too. So knight a7, knight f1, and now we move knight g5. And here Maxim nearly played knight e3, who is a positional mistake, because after knight f3, queen f3, an important move bishop g5, pinning the knight, and if the knight moves, now we are going to trade the bishops. Or if not, we're going to trade the bishop for the knight one day. Here I analyzing this position a little bit and was stronger to take with the bishop, giving the bishop pick. And if bishop takes, we're going to just play h3 and let's wait what black is going to do. And if he takes with the pawn, now knight e3 coming to d5. And white is fine here, but this takes my attention that was better to take with the bishop. That's a concept that I don't know before saw this game, and now I learned a new concept. Always great to learn things. So knight 3d2 was another good move, not trading pieces, and because okay, black playing knight g5 to trade pieces and trade the dark square bishop. So now with this move, the bishop is still on e3, and now we're coming with knight e3, and white is fine. And okay, take with the knight was playable, and now rook e3, this was another option. But okay, knight e3 by okay, like I thought, we didn't want to trade pieces, and now we trade pieces, but we are coming with the rook to e3, knight e3, and white have some initiative. In chess, a part of material advantage, of course, positionally there are like two types of advantage, or positional or the initiative. Here, we lost the positional advantage, who was the e7 bad bishop, for example, with knight 3d2. Now our positional advantage was the e7 bad bishop, but we haven't zero initiative with white. And now, in this, for example, in this line, we lost our positional advantage, which is the bad e7 bishop, but now we have a little bit initiative advantage with rook e3, rook g3. So sometimes you should decide if you want one advantage or another, or the transition was well known. Okay, knight e3, Artemiev, very good. Knight takes on f3 and bishop g5. And now Vacher makes a bad plan with g3, followed by h4. Yeah, now king h8, very good move. The idea of king h8 is because Artemiev know that Maxime plays h3 to play h4 later and can take the yes and ejected the bishop from g5. So he prepared for that, And he say, okay, you're going to play h4, fine. I'm going to make a move preventing h4, with king h8. Make good prophylaxis, because after h4, now you say, okay, I'm going to take an f5. Open the f5 for the rook, you have the queen on the f5, so you're going to have troubles. Open the c8 bishop, taking space in the center. So here black have the advantage, and the bishop pair here doesn't matter because now we have many light squares open, close with his king open, and this bishop on c4 doesn't defend this square. The c4 bishop, if this bishop was on stay on g2 instead of on c4, would be better for white, but here black have the advantage. He takes f5, and like I told, Artemiev only need the draw to advance to the next round. Bishop f5, queen g2, queen d7, still improving the pieces, d4, bishop d4, bishop d5. Here he take on d4, who is a little bit, yes, yeah, a little bit bad. Was stronger, just came with the other rook and look like black is never going to lose this position. But okay, he decides to take here, bishop take, and trade the bishop for the knight. Okay, white is still fine. c6, bishop e4, d5, and bishop c2. And now, okay, very good big move, bishop f3, queen f1. Here was stronger to double rooks on the into the f5. He played queen queen d6, but I don't like this move because after queen d3 and queen e2, white obligate blacks to trade queens, and of course the queen on f1 is also passive. So I prefer rook f6, just doubling rooks. Later rook a f8, queen g4, and white have some troubles to defend all of that. So okay, after queen g2, now the games turn more or less equal. Well, okay, this doesn't yes, this benefits Artemiev because Artemiev only need the draw. But I remember that I'm watching this game on live in the feed, no, not in the feed, in Chess.com retransmission, no sé, broadcast, in Chess.com broadcast. I'm following the tournament in Chess.com, but the YouTube channel that I'm following more this tournament is the Chess Base India. I enjoy more the Chess Base India broadcast. I used to follow more Chess.com, but in the tournament there are not so much grandmasters analyzing. There are only one grandmaster each day, so I enjoy more the Chess Base India broadcast. So okay, like I told in the second game was equal, but what happened that Artemiev only have seconds in the clock. He moved like 100 times with 1 second in the clock. So yes, he moved all the time with 1 second. He at 2 seconds, three, two, one move, and he all the time move with only 1 second in the clock. And Maxime have more time in the clock. So that's one of the reasons of why Maxime finally won this game because this game is so equal. But yes, yes, Maxime have more time in the clock. But I still preferring white. White have a little bit more space and can create a pass point in the king side. I think that white is slightly better here. But the position is completely equal. Of course, a rook e4 now, putting the white rook passive, now improving the king. Just the position looks more or less equal. Now they trade the b pawn for the a pawn. But okay, white is putting some pressure into the black pawns. Now I really like the move h5, taking the space in the king side. Yes, I think that this move is important. Rook e6, and again, I think this move is stronger, taking the space there. Because after rook e2, now black cannot make so much with the rooks and with the pawns, and white have made so much improvement in the with the kingside pawns. So rook e3, and finally Artemiev decides to sacrifice the c pawn, but to activate his own rooks and to trade the b pawn. The problem of that is that okay, he plays e3, but after rook b3, you are not going to take nothing. And okay, a takes was the best move. And if rook bb2, now rook a3, attacking f3 and rook a1. And okay, black is active, but white have an extra pawn. So the position is close to be equal if you manage to defend fine, but white is so active. For example, if he take with the other rook, the same. Play rook a3 and rook a8, but I think that black position is so unpleasant. For that reason, in these moments I prefer the move h5 because if you manage to reach the same position but with the pawn on h5, it's going to be easier to defend. So always in the rook endgames, if you can take a space with the kingside pawns, try to make it, please, because this is going to be so helpful in in the future moves. It's one of the key of the rook endgame to take as much space as possible with the kingside pawns. But okay, here 8 takes before, that's the only move to draw by Artemiev. he played rook e1, trying to still play inactive. His idea, of course, with rook e1 is play, for example, if white makes a stupid move, no? Is play rook b1 at the next move and finally take this pawn. But the problem is that now rook b3 is threatening take on a3. He finally should take here, and but now this position is completely lost. Now he activated his king so much. He tried rooks and now placing the rook on f5. Later the king is going to take on f5 and the position is winning. In the type of rook games, this location of the rook was perfectly because it's defended by his own pawns, it's defending his kingside pawn, and apart is helping the queenside pawns. So the rook is perfectly here. With this victory, Bacer managed to draw the match again, to tie the match again, and now we're only left the Armageddon, with the last game of the match because in the they draw in the two classical games. They draw in the two rapid of 15 plus 10. They drew in the other two games of 5 plus, no, 10 plus 5. They draw, okay, they won one game each other. In the 5 plus 3, they again won one game each other. In the 3 plus 2. So now they are 5 5, and the only way to break the tie is the Armageddon, with only one game where the white player have 4 minutes in the clock, and the black player have 2 minutes and 40 seconds. But there is a special thing that if the game ends in a draw, black wins. And black advances to the next round. So black only needs a draw, but white should win. But okay, white have the advantage of have the white pieces, and apart he have an extra minute and 20 seconds in the clock with 2 seconds of increment. So okay, I'm going to make another video analyzing the Armageddon. So let's see who is going to advance to the next round. Bye bye, motherfuckers.